Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. Today's episode comes to you courtesy of Will, who's been supporting this channel as a Golden Pig tier patron. I truly couldn't do this without the support from amazing patrons like Will, so again, Will, thank you so much. Now, this episode is a break the bank on Will's personalized deck tech on Esika, God of the Tree, so if you haven't seen that episode out, make sure you check out that one first. This episode will make a lot more sense if you've seen that one already, so please do. Anyways, as a quick recap, Will's deck was an Esika God of the Tree God Tribal deck. Esika is a 1/4 God with Vigilance that can tap to add 1 mana of any color and gives other legendary creatures you control Vigilance and tap add 1 mana of any color. But the sign that we're going to focus more so on is the Prismatic Bridge, which is a legendary enchantment for Wooburg. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Nearly every single card in this deck is a god, so essentially at the beginning of our upkeep, we're getting a god into play. And with our upgraded budget, we can get some bigger and better gods to add in. But first up, let's start with the non-god cards that we're adding to this deck, but this one's actually pretty godly with Wayfarer's Bauble. It's an artifact for 1 that we can pay 2 to tap and sacrifice, and it gets us a basic land in play tapped. This card is fantastic, and I love it, and it needs to be reprinted, so Wizards, please reprint it. And then we've got a fantastic land for this deck with the World Tree. The World Tree is going to enter the battlefield tapped and tap to add a green. It says as long as you control 6 or more lands you control have tap add 1 mana of any color. And then by paying white, blue, black, red, green, or in other words, double Wooburg, we can tap and sacrifice it. When we do that, we search our library for any number of god cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle our library. So yeah, this is basically a, hey, pay double Wooburg, go get every single god in your deck and put them into play. A land that can finish our opponents off is a pretty fantastic thing. So let's add an Expedition Map for another way to get this card. It's an artifact that costs 1 and it has pay 2 and tap and sacrifice it, get any land in your library and put it in your hand. So yeah, essentially World Tree is pretty much always going to be the choice for us because World Tree fixes our mana and can be a win condition for us. Next up, we've got another kind of tutor that is great in this deck with Time of Need. It's a sorcery for 1 and a green, and it says search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, put in your hand, and then shuffle your library. All of our gods are legendary, so this is basically 2 mana, go get whatever god you want, and get it in your hand. We've got a ton of fantastic options depending on the situation that we're in. And now let's go through our new god options that we're adding into this deck, starting with Nylea Kenine. Nylea is a 5/6 indestructible god for 3 and a green. As long as our devotion to green is less than 5, Nylea isn't a creature. Creature spells we cast cost 1 less to cast, and by paying 2 and a green, we reveal the top card of our library. If it's a creature card, we put into our hand, otherwise we can put it into our graveyard. So when Nylea is online, she can be a force to be reckoned with, a 5/6 indestructible god for just 4 mana. On top of that, she helps save us mana on all of our creature spells. And she can even get us creatures off the top of our library into our hand, or get rid of things off the top of our library that we don't need. Next up, let's move on to another Theros god with Heliod, God of the Sun. Heliod is a 5/6 god with indestructible for 3 and a white. As long as our devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. Other creatures we control have Vigilance, and by paying 2 white, we put a 2/1 white cleric enchantment creature token onto the battlefield. Giving our other creatures Vigilance is huge for this deck. Many of our gods like Heliod can be really hard to deal with, and giving us the opportunity to swing out with our gods and still have defenses up can be huge. And also, if we've got some extra mana lying around, we can just make an army with Heliod as well. Next up, we've got Purphoros Bronze-Blooded, a 7/6 indestructible god for 4 and a red. As long as our devotion to red is less than 5, Purphoros isn't a creature. Other creatures you control have haste, and pay 2 and a red, you may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So like Heliod, this is a keyword anthem, and haste is a huge thing to have. In combination with the World Tree, this can be a game ender. We get all of our gods out, and they all have haste, and goodbye opponents. Next up, we've got Athreos Shroud Veiled, a 4/7 indestructible god for 4 white black. As long as our devotion to white and black is less than 7, Athreos isn't a creature. At the beginning of our end step, we put a coin counter on another target creature. And whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So this can either help us protect our own creatures or help us steal our opponent's creatures as well. Either can be powerful depending on the situation that we're in. And then we've got Farika, God of Affliction. She's a 5/5 indestructible god for 1 black-green. As long as our devotion to black and green is less than 7, she's not a creature. And by paying black-green, we can exile target creature from a graveyard. Its owner puts a 1/1 black and green snake enchantment creature token with Death Touch onto the battlefield. So this can help us utilize some of the creatures that might be in our graveyard, or we can actually use this in a political way as well. If one of our opponents is being attacked by a more threatening opponent, we can exile a creature card from their graveyard, give them a Death Touch snake, and take out a big creature that our opponent's attacking them with. But next up we've got Oketra the True, which is a 3/6 god with double strike and indestructible. She costs 3 and a white, and she can't attack unless you control at least 3 other creatures. And by paying 3 and a white, we create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. That creature requirement is an easy requirement for us to meet. Again, many of our gods, like this one, are very hard to deal with. So keeping 4 creatures in total on the field is pretty easy for us to do. And again, because of double strike, our anthems in this deck are going to be doubly as effective with this god. But now let's move on to God Eternal Bantu, a 5/6 zombie god with menace that costs 3 black. When it enters the battlefield, we can sacrifice any number of other permanents, then draw that many cards. And when it dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, we can put into our library 3rd from the top. So Bantu can be a great way to cycle through some of the permanents that we have on the field for some other cards. On top of that, it's incredibly hard to get rid of because even if it dies or is put into exile, we can get it back. And then we've got God Eternal Kefnet, which has that exact same effect. God Eternal Kefnet is a 4/5 zombie god with flying that costs 2 blue. It has you may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Whenever you reveal an instant or sorcery card this way, copy that card and you may cast that copy. The copy costs 2 less to cast. So this zombie god can help us double up a spell that's on the top. And finally, we're also going to be adding in Taralf, God of Fury. Taralf is a 5/4 god with trample that costs 2 red. Taralf has, whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Taralf deals damage equal to that excess damage to any target other than that permanent. Taralf is absolutely huge for a deck like this. Again, our gods already hit hard, and on top of that, we've got a lot of anthems to pump them further. So now essentially when we overkill either a creature or a planeswalker, we get to deal all that excess damage elsewhere. And then on the backside, we've got Taralf's Hammer. It's an equipment for 1 in a red, and it has equipped creature has pay 1 in a red, tap, unattach Taralf's Hammer. It deals 3 damage to any target, return Taralf's Hammer to its owner's hand. And the equipped creature gets +3/+0 as long as it's legendary. So this can be a great way to pump a creature and to ping things, but the other side is usually what we're going to be utilizing. Being able to dish out a ton of excess damage to players' faces can be a fantastic way to finish out the game. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.